Hey everyone, it's Dr. Neville Campbell here, and welcome back to the Wellness Hustle podcast. Guys, I know you've been following the stories and you've seen the journeys of several professionals. This podcast is not just about medicine and law. Initially, when we started, we promised to speak to you about several different professionals who have stories, who have made a difference, who have been making an impact in their own unique way. The goal of the podcast is to unearth these stories, to unearth the value set of these people, to somehow shed light on these things for the rest of us and the rest of the world to see. Is it really possible? Can it be done by the everyday individual? Folks, today we have none other than Hood Anchor with us today. He's one of Atlanta's own, born and raised here in Georgia, and has blazed a trail of his own. Folks, I'd like to hear his story. Let us talk about what has led him to this point and where he's trying to go. Hey man, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Man, it's been, all this excitement. Before I even met you, I've heard a lot of good things about what you're doing in the community, and how different this is, and how this difference has come to be recognized as unique and has brought you so much attention. Was it your initial sort of desire to obtain the attention and the recognition that you currently have? When you started doing this, what was the reason for doing it?
I kind of stumbled upon it for real, but my approach came from, I came across the scene, I was commentating on it. I was in regular clothes though. And then I seen the response that I was getting. So I'm just at home thinking, I'm in bed watching the news. And so I'm watching the story and I'm looking at it now what if I talk about this same story my way, but I got a different approach to it. I go to the scene in my robe, in my pajamas, make it look like I just hopped straight out of bed and went straight to the scene and just commentate basically. Just, I looked at it first commentating, then I started hold on, I can report. So it kind of just was me learning along the way and just, getting better along the way for real.
And do you feel like this is in line with what purpose is for you? Do you see what you're doing as making a difference?
It depends, because I'm kind of hard on myself, so I'm my hardest critic. So when you say make a difference, it's, to me, I look at it as scale, like, all right, am I changing lives? Am I able to speak to the youth and have them understand that, hey, you can do anything you want in life, or you don't got to be in the streets? Because I come from a street background where I was in the streets, and I transitioned from the streets to doing this. And so for all the young people out there, I want them to know, hey, you don't got to sell drugs and do this and do that, or be a rapper or be an athlete. But guess what? I deal with all those professions. I deal with everything. I deal with law enforcement. I deal with, people in law. I deal with doctors. I got a contract with the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? So in actuality, and I deal with rappers. They want me to interview them sometimes. So I really made it on every level. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go to the NFL, but guess what? I got a contract with the Falcons where I get to report at all the NFL games.
Listening to that, I'm smiling because oftentimes people, we try to be different things. Everyone wants to be this, wants to be that, and I want to be like this person. But as I'm hearing your story, it sounds like there is power in being our unique selves. You said you woke up one day and said, what if I should do this my way? I think it's something that the world needs to understand and know that people are more interested in the unique. What is different? What do you bring? What value can you bring or add uniquely? And when we begin to lean unapologetically into that, irrespective of what we think people might say or do, lean into it. I'm certain when you started this, there were some people who expressed concerns. Did you have concerns about this? Did you have people who were naysayers? Did you have people who didn't wish you well or told you that you would not make it, or thought that you were just a phase that's gonna, or a shooting star fizzle out? Were those a part of your story? And how did you combat or deal with that?
I kind of look at it like you got to ignore it because only God is in control of where you're gonna go in life. So when I first started doing this, a lot of reporters on the scene, a lot of camera people, a lot of people from the news probably looked at me like, "Oh, who's this guy on the scene with us? He just out here playing around?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm serious about what I do, and I take what I do serious, and I have and I try not to look at my success because I'm like I said, I'm very hard on myself. So
Right.
the success is to the scale for success to me is higher than is always setting the bar
Yeah, the
higher.
bar is always
So
higher. Yeah.
so I look at it. I don't never look at it like I made it or I did it or whatever. I just look at it like I got to keep going and growing. But I feel like a lot of people didn't take me serious at first, and now I feel like they're like, hold on, man, this guy here, you know what I'm saying? He takes it serious. He's on all the scenes. He's at the press conferences, like he's taking it serious just like we
Yeah.
do.
If you had to give any advice to young individuals, young little hood anchors coming up, whether they're like in the broadcasting industry or whatever aspect of life they're in, seems like the same thing potentially could apply. What would you advise them about what they would like to do and what the naysayers are saying or what other people are putting on them? What would be your advice of encouragement?
I would say remain consistent, remain true to yourself, and remain consistent and trust in God. Because anything that you want in life, you got to be consistent with it. So if I'm not on every scene back to back, back to back, back to back, I'm not showing them consistency. So it's like, how can I show them that I'm serious if I'm not being consistent? You know what I'm saying? They're just like a basketball player. You got to practice 5 days a week. Your coach will look at you like, hey, the player that go to every practice and every game is looked at, he's taking it serious. The player that's making excuses like, I can't come to this practice because I got to do this. You making excuses. You know what I'm saying? So who am I going to take serious? The person who coming to all the practice in the games, or the person who missing practice and missing games? It's the same thing in life with with what you do, with what I do, with what anybody do. You got to be consistent.
You got to show up.
Got to show up. You got to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm pretty sure people they work in their office. If the people who come and visit a doctor's office or whatever, if they never see their doctor there, how can they take that doctor serious?
Right.
But guess what? The doctor that's there in the office speaking to his people, engaging with everybody that come through, with his employees, walking them through, showing them real leadership, they're being taken serious.
Gotcha.
And it's the same way with me.
All right. Folks, you heard it. You got to show up. It seems like the change, the success, the victory is in the work, the process. You cannot get around the process. You can't get to the destination without traveling the road. And that road sometimes, like you just said earlier, yeah, they're going to be naysayers. They're going to be people who say, don't do it. You're going to say, oh, this is too much for you. You're over your head. They don't understand your purpose. Purpose is individual. Sometimes only you get it. It might look crazy to you, but stay on track. That's your advice.
Stay on track.
Was there ever a time in the infancy of you doing your work, anchoring and speaking and showing up to different news scenes that you doubted yourself? You said, am I really good enough to be here? Am I really qualified enough to be here? Do I have what it takes to stand with these individuals? Have you ever questioned your abilities at any point in time?
Maybe in the beginning, but sometimes I don't know if it's question, but more just I criticize myself, so I'm hard on myself. So I'm always figuring out ways to get better. So that comes from studying. Whether I watch the news, watch YouTube, the same way a basketball player will watch film or a football player watch film. I watch film. I watch how people report. I look at it and then I see what can I apply to myself to make myself better. So I never really just doubted myself. I probably never knew how far I could take it. That's probably more what it'll be for me. Because at first people would be like texting me and like, man, you got $1 million idea, you got $1 million idea. And I'd be looking at it like, you just texting me that just to be you just saying it. But then now that I'm getting further along and I'm seeing how everything is unfolding, I'm like, I didn't even really believe in myself for real. I was just looking at it like, hey, let me just make some money on, doing promotions, doing this, doing that. Now I'm like, hold on, I could really take it further than what I even seen it going.
Right.
So that's what I feel like it is.
Man, that's powerful here. What is one of the most memorable stories that you've reported on? That to this day, it still stick with you.
I'm chilling in my neighborhood where I'm from. I'm kicking it. Somebody hit me up because I get my tips from random people around the communities. A lady hit me up. She said, "Hey, it's a whole bunch of SWAT and it's a whole bunch of APD officers." And me, I'm the type of person, I'm driven, so I'm going. And it was around the corner from where I was at. I'm like, oh yeah, I get there in 5 minutes. I pull up, and I couldn't really get to the scene. I could have easily gave up and said, man, I can't even find the scene, or I can't even get to it. They got all these streets blocked off. They got this going on. I could have easily gave up. I get to the scene, and when I get to a scene, I don't always just I get there and I try to I talk with people around in neighborhoods. I talk to the police, whether they a PIO officer or a sergeant or whoever's in command. I talk to them to try to see what's going on, to get the facts, and then so I'm on this scene, and they keep saying the name, and then it's really not registering to me. Come to find out, this one of my real friends. You know what I'm saying? So there was it's a rapper. His name Young Scooter. You probably heard of him. I don't know. He a rapper named Young Scooter. But to me, that's more like my family. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up around him. He taught me a lot of things, and I get to the scene, and they like, oh, this happened. Ooh, and I'm like, all right, cool. He was, I guess they saying he was running from the police or whatever. So they were saying he was going into surgery. So now I'm looking at it like, all right, I ain't gonna do no report on it. He, this somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that serious. Let me just leave. I get in my car, I pull off. Everybody blowing my phone up. Hey man, he just died. I'm like, huh? They're like, yeah man, they saying he just died. I'm like, how he just died? I was just on the scene. They saying he just went into surgery. He died in surgery. And this one of my close friends that I looked up to, that taught me, a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It was there for me. You know what I'm saying? And it just stuck with me because it was like not my first one, but it was one of those scenes where it's like it's different between me and any reporter, because when I get there, 9 times out of 10, I know this person. Or 9 times, if I don't know them, I know their family.
Yeah.
And it was just a crazy story, you know what I'm saying? Because there was so many speculation around it, and then it was like this, like somebody who I consider family.
Yeah.
So it kind of hit hard.
Is there any lessons that you think, innate lessons in this story, that you took away from the story?
From that story?
Yeah.
Try to remain unbiased. I try to my best to remain unbiased. You know what I'm saying? Because it's people that, that's family and friends that want me to say certain things about it. And then it's people on the, on the law enforcement side that got respect for me and that I got respect for, that want me to, say the correct things. You know what I'm saying? So just try to state the facts and remain unbiased as possible, and try to keep, emotion out of it.
Wow. Is there ever a time in your reporting that you question the facts that you've been given as you're trying to put the story together and trying to put the message out to the public? Is there any time that you question the validity of the information you have?
Every time, everything is a question. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always 3 sides to a story. This person's side, that person's side, and the truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's trying to balance everything out. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's cool. I just try to I learned to try not to jump the gun too much and try to say on what we think it is, and try to just state the basic facts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of just going deep into the story on what it could happen. And, You know what I'm saying? That's really all it is.
So as a reporter, do you believe that your duty is to get to the truth, or to present the facts plainly and let people arrive at their decisions?
Yeah, that's how I look at it. Like I try to keep it like that. I try to keep it to where, let me just state the facts and not give my opinion on it, and let the people, make their own opinion about it. But sometimes sometimes the people be wrong. Sometimes the other side be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I didn't seen it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real tough when it come to news. Like I see it now. Like at first I thought it was simple, and then I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this really kind of
Yeah.
complex. It's really more to it
Right.
than just reporting.
Right.
You know, it get like you get emotional.
Yeah.
Because you attach yourself to certain scenes and.
It has to be from a moral standpoint. Sometimes, as you're thinking about it, right? There's a job, and then there is a moral responsibility, and then there is the interests of the various parties that are involved, right? Whether you're reporting for or against something based on the parties that are involved and the alignments that are already established, and then in all of that, there is the truth. And then there's your opinion. As you're navigating all of this and making that report, is there any time that one is towing the line between honestly reporting what you knew, what you know went on, having all the facts that you might be privy to versus what others might not, and then balancing interests and having to report a softer version or a milder version? Have that situation ever? Have you been faced with that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many cases with it that I deal with, so many reports. Like for instance, I'm on the scene the other day. It's a homeowner. The kids come on his front porch, try to steal his package, run off. He shoots, he kills them. He kills one of them. One of them other shot, and now he's being charged with murder. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, like people got so much opinions on it. It's like I got to figure out the best way to present this story.
Right.
Try to remain unbiased because I got to be, you know, I got to think about the victims. I got to think about what they was doing, and I got to think about the position that the homeowner's in.
And
So I got to figure out the best way to present it. But me, I really just present it however it come to my mind, and I just go with my gut.
Right.
So if I'm wrong, and I'm criticized,
Yeah.
I'm criticized.
Have you think your gut has ever led you wrong?
No. It may have led me to where people think I'm wrong.
Right,
But
right.
I know I'm right.
Amen to that. Amen to that. It's interesting because, you know, we talk about purpose and leaning to purpose. I've been on this explorative journey of, you know, understanding, you know, how things come to us. I know if I'm going to ask you this question, that decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, I'm certain, you know, when you're approached with a decision, it always comes down to two choices. 2 or 4, left versus right, and there is something innate in you that tells you one direction, as in your gut. And then there is something else, your consciousness, that rationalizes and say, well, based on this is this. I don't think that's the right way. But the gut typically doesn't really have the full knowledge or details. You can't fully explain why your gut is choosing that way.
Yeah.
You don't know where the why is coming from because there's no tangible facts or whatever you have in your head that says that makes sense. But it's often, though, when you choose gut, it almost never works out wrong. The question is, innately, do we have the compass that's always pointing us in the direction that we should go? But our conscious mind keeps veering us off track, taking us to another direction because it makes better sense from a rational standpoint. I believe innately we have that voice. We have the guide. We have whatever it is that we need to go when it comes down to those two decisions. It's there. The question is, do you want to lean into it or not? Because it's not always easy.
Never easy.
It's never easy. And that's what purpose is.
Every decision that we make
Right.
is like that.
Every decision. But it seems like what you've done from the starting of this to where it is now in its evolution of your reporting, you're leaning into purpose and you're leaning into something that you know it's uncomfortable, but this is what you feel like is the right thing to do, irrespective of what anyone else around you is thinking. Is this what I think? Is this what I think is the right thing to do? And I believe that that's one of the reasons why, people like yourself and others that I know, including myself, continue to remain different, continue to be seen by others, because we choose the path that's not always taken. It's not easily the easiest path. Sometimes it comes with a lot. But stick
Yeah.
on the path, it will, but it comes with a hell of a lot. Man, I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
And just to think about the kids who are watching your story, even in your neighborhood right now, and are inspired by what you're doing. Do you get a chance to give back to the community, like go to schools and speak? And
Yeah.
what do you tell these kids?
I speak at high schools all the time. I speak at colleges. I speak to people walking the street. I speak to everybody. If I get a chance to speak to somebody that I feel like I need to speak to, I'm gonna tell them what's on my mind and what I tell them. What if I see them doing something that's not right, I'm gonna tell them like, hey man, straighten up. I see these little kids running around, push shiesty and mask on. Hey man, take that off. You don't want to be labeled. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's so many things where I do that, but when I talk to kids, I just try to tell them like it's so much opportunity out here. We'll just never know until you try. Like I didn't know I was gonna be doing this. I didn't know. I just got to this point because I always been a leader, and I always wanted to be different. You know what I'm saying? So you either can follow the crowd and see where that take you, or separate yourself and really try to become the best person you can become. You know what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10, all the friends you got, I tell them, all the friends you got now, you're not gonna be cool with them later on. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, it was a little tougher because they came to our schools telling us like, hey, you see all they I remember I never forget this what this one teacher came and spoke to us and told us. He said, I want y'all to look around this classroom right now. This in middle school. They said, look around this classroom right now. They said, by the time y'all get to graduating and going to college, there's gonna be some people that's your friends that been done died, went to jail, or went through this or went through this. And then that always stuck with me because it's like, man, dang, like I done made it to high school and 4, 5 of my friends then already got killed. You know what I'm saying? Like 4, 5 of my friends then got suspended from school for bringing guns to school, or you know what I'm saying, or like shooting. So like it's really like that.
Yeah.
Growing up in Atlanta, like it's really crazy. You know what I'm saying? We normalize it now, but it's really kind of crazy. And that always stuck with me. And I always tried to look at it like, let me be the one that don't go that I don't fall under that category. You know what I'm saying? So I always, I never smoked weed. You know what I'm saying? I drink a little bit here and there, but I never did drugs because I seen where that take you.
Yeah.
And I never seen nobody doing drugs and being successful.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just never seen it.
Right.
I seen alcoholics lose everything behind being an alcoholic. I seen drug addicts lose everything behind being a drug addict. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I know what not to do. I may not know what to do, but I know what not to do. So I don't know.
Folks, that's as real as it gets. I don't think I could have said it any better. But as I've seen and watched, your videos and see what you're reporting on, all I can say is that this man is walking into purpose. Whenever people choose to do things different, and do things that is individually sort of calling to them, I think that's truly where the difference is. Owning your craft, whatever that craft is. Even if it's basket weaving, be the best, because if you're the best in that space, I promise you that best will draw recognition to you. It's not about what you're doing in life. It's about the work ethic, the commitment that goes into doing that. Keep on applying yourself, man. Keep on making us proud. I love the space that you've carved out, and I love where it's going. I'm interested in knowing what what your thoughts are in the next 5, 10 years in this space.
I look at it like, what I want to do is I want to have my own network to where I'm producing my own news segments, to where I'm doing local news, international news, local worldwide and national, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And then I'm talking about, you know, I'm giving weather reports, I'm giving traffic advisory, I'm giving consumer reports, I'm highlighting the communities.
Yeah.
I'm showing them, you know what I'm saying, every aspect, the same thing the news do, I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to run my own network.
I love it, man. I'm here for it.
So that's why I see myself in the next
I'm here
5
for
years.
it. I'm watching the journey. And trust me, as we grow and rise together, I'll be here 10 years from now seeing this come through. It was a pleasure having you, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Appreciate
For sure,
you.
For sure.